Okay, well, it's been a while since I've had my face cam on, but shit happens. So, the Gen.G boys are finally free, and they've been told they can explore their options. So, I'm going to take a look at some of the things people have put forward, some of the options they have open to them, and assess what I think of them. So, what has been suggested so far? I saw one rumour that they might, some combination of the players might be joining Taco's new team, which is probably going to start Phelps and then a bunch of people I've never heard of. But I'm very doubtful about this, considering I've had more substantiated rumours that say there's already 5 players and they all seem to be Brazilian, so I doubt they're going to bring in some English speakers. Sponge has also put forward a roster with Azza, Liaz, Gratisfaction, Autimatic and bntet. Yeah, it could be okay, but I don't get who the third star is. You know, in terms of third best players, it's going to be in between Liaz and Grat. And as much as I like Liaz as like an anchor and supportive player, he doesn't really have that many massive fragging performances, and I'm just not a big fan of Gratisfaction in general. So I'm not really sure about this one. I don't see it as... Maybe I don't see it as good as Sponge does in his head. I see it as maybe a top 20 team. He probably sees it top 10. Because of the experiences he's had with Azza, with Liaz. Knowing those players better than I do, maybe. Or maybe he's a personal bias. I just don't see him being that good. But yeah, those are really the only two things I've noticed people talking about that keeps all the players together. Or that, in general, has a full plan of who they're going to play with. I have really heard very little. We've only had this news out for about 2 days now. So maybe we'll hear more in the coming days. But for now, I'm going to go through individually, see roughly where I'd place them. So bntet, a quality rifler. Who needs a quality rifler? Well, firstly, we have to eliminate anyone who's currently playing in all Swedish, all Danish rosters, because they're not going to switch to English just because a guy who kind of speaks English has showed up. So he's got to go into an international roster. The only one I can think of realistically is FaZe. FaZe are looking to replace Olofmeister. I don't think they want him here long term. And yeah, they could probably do with another in-game leader, so maybe they'd even take Kuster, but for now, if they're looking for more rifle talent, bntet would be a good pickup. I don't see it as very likely. I do think they are going to go hunting for an in-game leader. Whether that's Karrigan or not, we'll find out later, but I don't see it happening realistically. I just think it would be a good move in terms of the player addition. Autimatic. So he wants to AWP. He said that in his statement. He really wants to be an AWPer. So that leaves him with not many teams that are looking for AWPers right now. Again, he speaks English. We're going to need a team that's going to be okay with that. Mouse Sports is the first thing that came to my mind. Now this might be a personal bias because I've got a lot of people on my feed suggesting csG should be removed. I like csG as a rifler, but if this team needs a primary AWPer, I'd prefer Autimatic. I do like csG and what he brings as a rifler, don't get me wrong, but since they've lost their AWP, and he's gone over to that role, I felt he's lost a bit of that wildcard impact that he brought to the team from a more supportive rifle position. So Autimatic to Mouse I think would be good, especially if they can keep Karrigan, because now they've got a really good AWPer to play with. I think they could go back to number 1 in the world if they signed Autimatic. That for me would be the biggest of all these signings. Now for Kuster himself, now I've already suggested this slightly out there idea that he might be picked up by FaZe, who are that desperate for an in-game leader. More likely is he's going to go play Valorant. Honestly, he's not been that successful in CS. I mean, he started as an AWPer who then lost all his confidence and started deferring to other people to AWP. And then when he picked up the rifles, initially he was awful, but he's progressed and now he put up some good showings in his most recent events. So maybe someone could want him as a 5th. More than likely, in my eyes, he's going to go play Valorant. So at the start, I brought up some of the rosters, some of the 5-man lineups people had made, or thought of, or had heard rumours about. The one thought I've had is, Contact have said their players are available. If so, we could pair up Esperanto and Snappy with those three guys from Gen.G. Player for player, I think they'd be better. However, if you don't want Kusta in the team and you'd rather keep on Rigon or Spinks, I could also see that working. You know, you've still got Snappy as an in-game leader. bntet, Esperanto, very high-level riflers. You've got a very good AWP in autimatic. It's a plausible top 15, top 10 roster, maybe. Admittedly, upon reflection, it looks weaker than the one Sponge has put forward with the Aussie players. Well, the Southern Hemisphere players. I'm pretty sure one of them's from New Zealand. So, that's one idea. Maybe there'd be some other combinations you'd try where you wouldn't play Kusta, or you'd have Kusta be the IGL and not bring Snappy along. But ultimately, this seems like a bit of a long shot, because they'd also need an AUG to pick them up. And with the number of AUGs we've seen leave CS, I don't know. I don't know what we'd do. If anyone was going to pick up a roster like this, I'd be looking towards someone like Fun Plus Phoenix. But yeah, that's what we'd have to look for, is an organization willing to take a risk to pick up probably autimatic and bntet, maybe Kusta depending on what's out there. Either way, it's just not looking good for North America, is it? Players are leaving. North America is dead. Well, North America is dying. And if Chaos can't find an AUG, and they've proven they're still competitive at this point, these guys are going to struggle to find an AUG. And that's kind of worrying. Okay, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more CSGO content, please like and sub. It really helps me out. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.